Hey everyone, I'm Miss B. Hanley, and today we're back to talk about figurative language. Figurative language in the English language, otherwise known as figures of speech, are ways of communicating ideas that have complex meanings. According to this website, figurative language are often literary devices that fall into one of 5 categories. The first is understatement or emphasis. The second is relationships or resemblance. The third is figures of sound. The fourth is errors. And the last is verbal games. Today, we're just going to be taking a look at 3 types of figurative language. All of them would fall under the category of relationships or resemblance. The first type of figurative language that we're going to talk about is known as an analogy. An analogy is a comparison of 2 things. Oftentimes, when people talk about analogies, they use this format. For example, dry is to arid as wet is to soaked. We're comparing dry and wet by showing different words that they are similar to. On tests, you will often see a different format, but this is essentially what an analogy is, comparing 2 things and relating them to each other. The next 2 pieces of figurative language that I want to talk about fall under the analogy umbrella. The first is a simile. A simile is a phrase that compares 2 things by using like or as. For example, she was as beautiful as a freshly bloomed rose. We are using as to compare she to a beautiful rose. Similes can also use like. He was like a bull in a china shop. Here, I'm using like to compare a person to a bull who is destructive in a china shop. Okay, similes are pretty easy. The next kind of analogy is a metaphor, and this is where things can get a little confusing because a metaphor compares 2 things without using like or as. So oftentimes a metaphor seems like it's being literal.
It's Taserface?
That's right.
Do you shoot tasers out of your face?
It's metaphorical!
For example, his smile was a new sun shining in a dark land. I didn't use like or as. So instead, we're imagining a person smiling, and their smile is so bright that it's as bright as the sun shining in a dark area. But it's not really as bright as the sun. I'm just comparing it to a sun to show how bright this person's smile is. Okay, let's take a look at another one. She has a heart of stone. A person doesn't literally have a heart of stone. I'm using a metaphor to describe how cold-hearted or hard-hearted someone is toward a certain event. So, saying someone has a heart of stone is like saying they don't have feelings and they don't show much love. All of these figures of speech fall under the category of relationships or resemblance. Because I am showing a relationship between 2 things that may not be related, but I'm using these relationships to more deeply explain how something works or what something is like. Oftentimes, writers will use similes and metaphors to convey a deeper idea about a situation, a character, or an event.
It's metaphorical!
For what?
It is a name what strikes fear into the hearts of anyone what hears it.
Okay. Okay, whatever you say.
Those are the 3 figures of speech we're talking about today. In another video, we'll talk about more figures of speech and how complicated they can get. I hope this helped you understand similes, metaphors, and analogies. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in class. Bye!